All right. I want to talk about the Dark Mother today. I thought it'd be really cool to talk about something that I don't necessarily think about when I think of Mother's Day. I have this, I said it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but in my mind, I think it should be all the time. So there's this tension between what I think it should be and what it is. So I thought I would dive into a little bit of the shadow today. Um, Always exciting. So there's this song by a group called Cage the Elephant, and its title is Black Madonna. And this song has been sort of plaguing me through this whole time of learning about the Dark Mother. And the refrain goes, "Call me when you're ready to be real." And that's the call of the Dark Mother. That is what she says to us. She wants us to call on her when we are ready to have all of our illusions stripped away, all of the wrong perceptions, the stories we tell ourselves that might not be completely accurate. And it's an invitation to get down to the essence of who we really are. The Dark Mother is about removing veils, and she is about seeing things in a different way, just like that optical illusion that was on the screensaver. If you saw it, depending on how you looked at it, you might have seen two faces or you might have seen a candlestick. So this is about shifting how we see things. And the Dark Mother, like a lot or maybe all aspects of the divine feminine, is greatly misunderstood. So we're going to look into a little bit of why and so try to bring some light into these dark places. So our shadow, or the shadow, is something we tend to want to look away from. The dark is inherently a fearful place. I mean, that's where the monsters are, right? And I would say, it's my theory, I don't think it's far off, that fear is at the root of erasing or marginalizing the divine feminine. And, what are some of those fears? Well, I think that we as a species fear the mystery of birth and death. And we fear the potential that women have to have mastery over these two areas. And I think it boils down really to this fear of the unknown. So because of her association with these shadowy aspects, the Dark Mother has become something to fear. She's characterized as evil, and something we would want to avoid. And because we vilify what we fear, which just perpetrates that cycle. You don't want to be around something evil. So what's the remedy for the fear and the shadow? Is you bring light to the darkness. So we're going in. When I said I was going to explore this topic, I thought, no big deal. I thought it would be easy. I was dead wrong. This was way bigger than I anticipated. And I learned that the Dark Mother is an archetype, and she's actually found in many different cultures and religions. And of course, in each of these, she goes by a different name. I mentioned the Black Madonna earlier. That, you may guess, is a Christian tradition. And although she does have all these different names, the energy is the same. And I'm going to call it tough love energy. And, tough love, it doesn't feel so great when you are the recipient of tough love. And what it is doing the necessary thing, setting a necessary limit, saying a necessary truth, even if it feels hard, if it feels painful, if it seems ugly. And those are our perceptions of those negative words, are our own perceptions of the thing. And we don't necessarily like it because it doesn't feel like the warm, nurturing, comforting, gentle mother energy that we sort of expect. And by we, maybe I just mean me. But the key to tough love is that it comes from a deep and endless wellspring of love. And when that is the foundation, anything that comes from that is always for our highest and best. So even though it may not feel wonderful, it is true that it is for our best interests. So there are two dark mothers that I want to highlight today. And the first one came to me, and it was a little bit of a surprise because I don't think of this energy or goddess as dark. But this is Gaia, and that's the name for Mother Earth. And she's known by other names, Pachamama in the Andean culture, and Spider Grandmother in the Hopi Native American tradition. Those are a couple of my favorites. A while ago, I read an article, and the premise was that when you become a mother, you guarantee a death. And that was quite a surprise to me, and also an inescapable truth. Anything birthed by a human or created, whether it's a human life or animal, plant, even an idea, a system, a culture, anything born will die. That is an inescapable fact and reality. There is a web of connectedness between all of us. There's an interdependence of all beings. And this is the we consciousness. This is the consciousness of the divine feminine. And this is what Gaia teaches us, that web of connectedness. She is a living example of how we depend on each other, all living beings. So if you think about it, the earth gives us everything we need to thrive, and boundlessly. Think about the vastness of the oceans or the rainforest. It's so enormous that we don't even know. We don't know every corner of the ocean. We don't know all of the creatures that live in the rainforest. So there's these seemingly endless blessings of bounty. But Gaia will slap our hands if we go too far and take too much. And she has been. And this is a warning. Will we listen? And it's, increasingly so. And I have this sense that, if we don't wake up and start minding our P's and Q's, that she's going to take us out. And she has the fierceness and the power to do so. And I want to say too, we are under this illusion that we can control Gaia. And the truth is we cannot. And when I say we, I specifically mean white colonizers, because indigenous people have known this forever. So if somebody's going to figure this out and make a change, it has to be us. The second goddess I want to talk about is Kali, and she is a Hindu goddess, and she's quite possibly the most fierce manifestation of the Dark Mother. And she looks terrifying. Some of you may know Kali and know what she looks like. She carries the severed head of a demon. She wears a necklace of skulls. She is a dark blue-black skin and she's covered in blood. And like from our Western perspective, it's easy to be pretty freaked out by a creature that looks like this. But these are all symbols. And when you get into the symbology of it, it's actually pretty amazing. Just a couple of examples. The severed head of the demon represents the illusion of the ego and false beliefs. And the necklace of skulls, the skull is a symbol of our intellect. And sometimes to do this work, maybe not all the time, we know you can't figure it out. We've been practicing dropping into our heart. And when you decide to follow the path of the goddess, you surrender your intellect. So she is fearsome, and I would say that sometimes the ego needs fearsomeness because it likes to hold on tightly. And Kali has no mercy when it comes to slicing through illusions. I want to read a little bit out of this little teeny book, The Divine Feminine Oracle by Megan Watterson, to tell you just a little bit more about Kali. She is the divine protectress and the mother of the universe because she can cut through illusion and grant us the reality our soul came to manifest. Kali is as subtle as a sledgehammer. She shows up to strip us of what no longer serves us. And that sounds good in theory, but in practice, it can feel as if the ground beneath us has turned to sand. All those illusions about ourselves, especially what we think we're capable of, suddenly dissolve beneath us. When Kali sweeps in, we can easily slip into feeling like a victim. It can feel as though events are happening to us rather than for us. Kali wants to sever our ties to our ego, or our ties our ego has made out of fear, or out of the false belief that we don't deserve better or more. She wants us to get terrifyingly real. She wants us to reckon with the fact that we are not here to please others or to make them proud. We are here to listen to the singular call of our own soul. Kali is the harbinger of having entered Kairos, soul time. And stripping the ego to reveal the soul can feel raw and often heartbreaking. But ultimately, Kali has come out of a fierce love for the truth of who we really are. And I want to say a few things about what I just read. First, fierce love for the truth of who we really are. She's not giving an inch. She is holding the line because she is relentless in her quest for us to see our own divinity, our own divine diamond nature. I also want to mention divine protectress. Being a protector is often thought of as a masculine quality, but there's no two neat columns of feminine and masculine. There's crossover, which makes sense. It's not always black and white, but the feminine as a protectress has a different feel to it. It is it's the protectress combined with the we consciousness. So I think of like a mother hen gathering all of the chicks underneath her wings. She's protecting everyone. And this is a contrast between the masculine protector, which is more of a singular type of energy, and both are useful, but balance is really important. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that whole idea of the victim, becoming a victim, feeling like this is happening to me. I think that comes from having a vision of a punitive God. And like I did something wrong, so this bad thing is happening to me. But when you can think about things as happening for me, that's a whole shift. That is a way of seeing things differently. It does bring us into a space of curiosity. How can I practice with this? Where does it lead? And so that's an important shift from why is it happening to me to why could it be happening for me? And again, I do go back to, the fierceness, and that it comes from a wellspring of deep, deep love. So hopefully I've given you a little bit of information on this Dark Mother archetype. And I have a story, my own story of my encounter with her, which I didn't actually know that's what it was, or I wouldn't have called it that until I was starting to do this work. My own journey into motherhood was very much the path of the Dark Mother. And it's super appropriate that I'm talking about this today. It is an important anniversary day in that journey. And another thing that happened to me while I was doing this work is I really could feel that deep well of compassion which helped me shift my perspective on this story that I'm about to tell you. So when I say that there is that deep love that drives everything that these fierce, dark goddesses, mothers do, I have felt that myself. So I've alluded to this. I don't know that I've ever said it directly, but 13 and a half years ago, I birthed my son. And I don't like saying my son was born because that's sort of like I wasn't there, it just happened. But no, I did that. And 10 days afterwards, I woke up and his father, my husband, had died in his sleep. And that was quite shocking and quite traumatic. And in that, I lost everything, stripped of all of my beliefs. Absolutely, that rug that we talk about was pulled out from under me. And that space of groundlessness, of like sort of floating and turning upside down in space, that lasted for years. And it was grueling. And honestly, it was terrible. It was also the gateway to transformation that I would never have known. And just a few examples of how I can see this differently. It opened a portal to a tidal wave of love, an utter avalanche of unbelievable amounts of support that still to this day I'm stunned by. It catapulted me onto this spiritual path. I wouldn't know Joe. I wouldn't be talking to you. And I would say that the spiritual path that I have gone on really led me to my most true version of myself, which is an incredible gift to me and maybe to others. I think when we inhabit ourselves, we really gift other people. And maybe I would have found my way here some other way, but it gave me the impetus to not only start, but to keep going. And I will not stop. And the other thing I wanted to say is by fully immersing myself in the shadow and by fully experiencing the pain, I also now have the ability to fully immerse myself in the light and to fully experience that joy. So hopefully that gives you a sense. I mean, there's an endless list of graces that I received. So it was kind of an ambush, and I would not have picked it if I had known. And having gone through that experience, I can attest that the dark mother energy is serious. It's no joke. And so my invitation to you is that if she's working on you right now, if you are in a space of groundlessness, or if you are in a space of sort of transition or pain, can you tap into that endless wellspring of love that's available? And can you begin to see your suffering in a different way? And I'm going to end with a quote from a woman, Marianne Woodman. And she wrote and spoke about the Black Madonna. So we started with Black Madonna, we will end with her. Marianne Woodman says, "A life truly lived constantly burns away veils of illusion, burns away what is no longer relevant, gradually reveals our essence, until at last we are strong enough to stand in our own naked truth." Thank you for letting me share.